Dead by Daylight's most hated streamer, ImProbzz, finally got what he deserved. After continuously banning every single member of his fanbase until only the biggest donators were left in his Twitch chat, Probzz ironically got banned from Twitch himself. Now, Probzz, being the manipulative snake he is, actually used his termination to his advantage, since it distracted everyone from his truly malicious recent actions against some of his critics. However, I managed to discover what Probzz has actually been doing behind the scenes for the past few months, and I even figured out how and why Probzz got banned from Twitch. So I'ma be serving you up all the necessary information in this video. But before we get into it, I just gotta quickly mention the YouTube studio tells me that the majority of people watching this aren't actually subbed to the channel, so if you enjoy my content, especially my deep dives into ImProbzz, then please subscribe because I'm trying to hit 950 subs this month and I know that we can do it. Anyway, back to the video. So I'm assuming that most of the people watching this know who Probzz is and have watched my coverage on him, since my videos talking about Probzz are by far my most popular ones, and I just gotta thank you guys for supporting these videos. Again, it really means the world to me. My content talking about Probzz gaining as much attention as it did really did give me the motivation to actually keep uploading. So I really do appreciate every single person that watched these videos. And by the way, if you enjoyed this type of content, I actually made similar stuff on another Dead by Daylight creator called KaiserDaBard, so make sure to check that out as well. I'm gonna link it in the description. But anyway, in case you haven't seen my coverage on Probzz, here's an extremely quick recap. So essentially, Probzz used to be a popular streamer within the community of the video game Dead by Daylight, as he was considered one of the most skilled players globally, especially in the survivor category of the game. However, in 2022, Probzz randomly started streaming for 16 hours every single day. At the time of my first video on Probzz, he hadn't missed a single day of streaming since January 2023. During this period, his vocal ability started declining as he was barely audible during his live streams, appearing to be on drugs constantly. He admitted to not going outside at all, boarding up his windows to avoid sunlight from coming in, and only eating 500 calories every single day. When people started calling him out on his deranged lifestyle, as well as him scamming and catfishing his fans, he actually started banning every single person that didn't constantly donate to him from his stream, resulting in a net loss of over 90% of his audience, leaving Probzz, who used to frequently get over 1k viewers on Twitch watching him, to stream to barely 30 people with a dead chat. Some people are of the opinion that Probzz' Twitch stream is entirely a front for money laundering, and I went over that theory in part 2 on my Probzz series, so feel free to watch that if you haven't already. And I do think that it is a believable theory, but I personally think that Probzz is just severely mentally ill, even though the money laundering could be possible still. So that's essentially who Probzz is, a deranged and delusional fallen off Twitch streamer who clearly has a warped perception of reality and desperately needs help, and I actually expected that Probzz would be stuck in a continuous cycle of self-destruction till he eventually had no one left watching his stream. But unexpectedly, there has been a massive development in the Probzz story just a few days ago. So on October 15th, as of the time of this recording less than a week ago, Probzz' channel actually got banned on Twitch. Now this ban ended up dividing a lot of people, since there are essentially two types of ways people think about Probzz possibly getting banned. There are the people that have absolutely no sympathy left for Probzz, which I can of course understand, considering he did scam and catfish his audience, and therefore those people are celebrating his ban. But there's also a group of people that do empathize with Probzz because they perceive him as unable to control his actions due to his severe obvious mental illness, and they actually didn't want Probzz to get banned because they think that him getting banned on Twitch might lead him down an even darker path, since the only thing Probzz is going for himself in his life is his Twitch stream. People believe that him suddenly losing the ability to stream might push him off the edge and might possibly result in him harming himself or doing worse. Now I personally see things through a different lens here. I do believe that Probzz getting banned could actually benefit him, because it might lead to him streaming on YouTube, where it's much harder to actively censor your entire audience. And this more open environment would result in Probzz receiving constant criticism and in more people being exposed to his deranged behavior, which could potentially and hopefully result in Probzz realizing the error of his ways and maybe changing. But at the same time, you could also argue that the constant hate might also lead to Probzz harming himself, and this is exactly why a Probzz ban is such a highly contested and debated on topic, since Probzz is just such an unpredictable unpredictable person that no one knows whether this would benefit or harm him in the long run. But regardless of whether people support the termination or not, the reality is that Probzz' channel did get banned on October the 15th, and the reason might shock you. Now, he actually did get banned for drop farming during his live streams. Now, when I first heard of this, I had no idea what Twitch drops even are. So I did some research to try and understand this whole thing, and it turns out that Twitch drops are essentially in-game rewards people receive for watching certain partner streamers. So for instance, if you have your Twitch account connected to your Steam or Epic Games or whatever, and you're for example watching an Overwatch 2 streamer who is partnered on Twitch, with a little bit of luck you can get free skins or in-game items through just watching the stream on your account. Now, Probzz apparently had these drops enabled 24/7, and he kept advertising his stream as a way to get these in-game drops for free. Now, he then took it even a step further and actually kept streaming even longer hours, with a lot of the content just being reruns of his old streams. So essentially, it seemed like he was reusing old content in order to be live for even more hours and attract more people through the in-game drops he had enabled in his stream. The possibility of receiving the drops was the main thing that kept the stream going. Now, Probzz' method of farming viewers through rerunning old streams with drops enabled has actually been specifically prohibited by Twitch earlier this year. Probzz farming, a practice where streamers run continuous streams during drops campaigns to accumulate rewards without actively engaging with their audience, this has been a growing concern. Twitch's rewards, including drops, want to enhance the viewer's experience and encourage interaction. Drops farming, however, undermines this intention, prompting Twitch to address the issue head-on in its latest policy update. The revised spam and scams policy on Twitch unequivocally prohibits cheating the Twitch reward system encompassing drops and channel point systems. This comprehensive policy seeks to eliminate spam, scams, and other malicious conduct that could disrupt the user experience and decrease trust in the platform. So since this method of drop farming ended up becoming a violation of Twitch's policy, it's almost certainly the reason Probzz got banned. Now, unfortunately, Probzz' ban for this ended up only being temporary. As a matter of fact, his channel is now back up. But there's something different now that a lot of people are missing. See, Probzz' ban actually ended up distracting people from the malicious acts he was committing behind the scenes. So if we take a look at Probzz' channel now and before the ban, there's actually a slight difference. Probzz changed his username from ImProbzz to just Probzz. Now, I thought this wouldn't be a big deal at all, but there's so much more if we dig deeper. So I'm assuming you guys remember the banned ImProbzz account on Twitter. I shouted out that page in my videos on Probzz because a lot of his tweets are archives of Probzz' delusional antics. For instance, this page is where I got most of the screenshots of Probzz unjustly banning people from. Now, the thing with this page is that, especially after my videos on Probzz dropped, it did receive a lot of traction. So much so that the page actually completely outperformed Probzz on Twitter in terms of engagement, which I was quite happy with, because the page is a really good archive of Probzz' egregious behavior, and I really like what the owner is doing with it. Now, the success of the page led to it actually coming up as a result every time random people searched Probzz into Twitter. Sometimes people would even interact with this page on accident because they thought it was actually Probzz himself. Now, one person who absolutely was not happy with the rise of this page showcasing all of Probzz' deranged and distasteful behavior was Probzz himself. So Probzz came up with a clever trick to try and separate himself from this page. See, shortly after changing his name to just Probzz, a lot of random Probzz related ban accounts joined Twitter. Probzz banned, Probzz banned, Probzz bans, banned by Probzz, and these were all random accounts that were created this month, October of 2024, and all of them had no followers and no interactions. Essentially, these are just stand-in accounts which attempt to steal all possible Probzz ban name combinations in order to prevent the banned ImProbzz page from renaming itself to banned Probzz, meaning that now when people search up Probzz instead of ImProbzz, they will land on his actual account instead of the page constantly shitting on him. The page responded to this saying, "Seems you will all need to learn to accept me as banned ImProbzz in perpetuity, as every alternate name that could possibly be used has been mysteriously taken following Probzz' rebrand." Now, I will say that there is a possibility that this wasn't done by Probzz himself, but like a super fan of him, and that surely is possible, and that's why I just presented all the evidence here and didn't make a definitive statement that this is Probzz, because I encourage everyone to reach their own conclusions, but I personally do believe that Probzz himself is behind this, or at the very least he told someone to do it, since that would be perfectly within within Probzz' character, and it does showcase that despite previous claims of not caring at all and not even watching people critical of him, he in actuality does care and follows his critics very closely. However, I don't think that this act of trying to prevent his most vocal critic online from adapting to his new name is going to help Probzz at all, and it's not going to save his reputation in the slightest, because I do believe that the account is just so big now that it could actually simply continue as banned ImProbzz and still get a lot of engagement and probably even still outperform Probzz, which is deserved by the way, because that page really is awesome. And the account actually did now find a somewhat suitable name, so Probzz' extra effort didn't even pay off. Now lastly, there have been some more updates on Probzz that I wanna briefly touch on while we're here. So over on Probzz' Twitch there have been a few developments. I mean, this Uzumati person is still the top donator with ridiculous amounts donated every single week, and he still streams shockingly long. I mean, when I tapped into his stream while researching this video, I saw him being live for 17 and then for 19 hours just 2 days apart. But he did actually change up his ways a little bit. So after my video released, a lot of people confronted Probzz in his Twitch chat, which has now led to him setting his chat to subscribers only, meaning that now on Twitch, just to be able to talk to Probzz, you now have to pay a fee of $4.99 a month. But he justified this change by also giving all of his subscribers an amazing discount for his merch store. Now in my first video on Probzz, I already pointed out how his merch is a complete scam, because he steals designs and just resells them with his overpriced logo on it. But I want to just point out how much of a scam this really is by going over the sub discount. So for instance, if I was to subscribe to Probzz on Twitch, which costs me $5, and then I decide to buy this Probzz sticker, which as I showed in my first video has a production cost of less than $2, I get a fantastic discount of 5%, which amounts to $1.50, meaning I paid $5 to save $1.50 in the end. That's just $3.50 extra going into Probzz' pocket. If that isn't a scam, then I don't know what is. The sub discount literally makes you pay extra money, except if you buy like the 2 most expensive products on the site. Then you at the very least break even. So this is just basically yet another disingenuous marketing tactic to try and make more money. At least that's my take on it. Now there's one other development with Probzz' Twitch channel. He recently started editing down his VODs on Twitch, meaning that if you go to his channel now, you actually can't see that he streams for 16 hours every single day, because he edited the VOD down to like 4 to 6 hours, fooling some people into believing that his streaming schedule has finally normalized. I guess that means he finally realized streaming that much every single day makes him look insane from a neutral onlooker's perspective. But at the same time, I mean, he's still streaming 16 hours every day, he's just hiding it better. So I guess that means even though he knows it's destroying his channel, he can't bring himself to stop, because he's presumably addicted to streaming that by daylight, which is quite interesting to talk and think about. Regardless, I do believe that this won't be the last time we'll hear about Probzz. I honestly expect this guy to do something drastic once his active viewer and sub count goes down even further. I mean, he has already lost over 90% of his audience, but I personally believe he's gonna hit rock bottom pretty soon, probably within the next year or so, and I'm very interested in what he decides to do then. But for the time being, I expect nothing from Probzz other than continued censorship, degenerate behavior, and absolutely zero willingness to accept criticism. Anyway, that's gonna be it with the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Subscribe if you haven't already, drop a like on the video, and please share your opinions in the comments. I wanna talk to the people in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.